Hey, what's up you guys? It's Lexi DIY and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So while you see me put some plastic up for us to not get dust everywhere while we refinish our hardwood floors, which is what we're doing today, part one anyway, I just want to say I'm so sorry because I did film an intro and an outro for you, but you won't be seeing them because apparently in the middle of my life being a complete mess, my computer decided to stop reading my SD cards. But luckily I got all of this footage in before that, so looks like I might have to go buy a new computer. I'm not really sure. Anyway, on to what we're doing. So we rented a orbital floor sander from Home Depot, and initially we only rented it for one day. That was a sick joke because this actually took so long. We thought it was going to go a lot quicker. We went with an orbital sander because you don't have to go with the grain. It's a little bit more user friendly if it's your first time sanding a big floor like it was for us. There were other options, but also our hallway runs like in a direction where there's no way we would have been able to use any other sort of sander in the hallway without messing it up. But anyway, we started with 36 grit sandpaper, and the first initial sanding of all the rooms is genuinely the most time consuming and the hardest part. I'm not going to say that the sander was easy to use. It was pretty easy to use, but it's a little bit hard to control. For me, I'm really short and I'm a fairly tiny person, so it was kind of like jerking me around, honestly, at the beginning, and then I started to, you know, kind of get the hang of it. But you'll see that our floors are a little bit uneven, and so it looks like I missed some spots, but really the orbital floor sander just like would not get on those spots no matter like what angle I was coming at it from. So we did go back and hand sand the edges and any uneven spots with the same grit sandpaper on the hand sander. This was definitely, like I said, the most time consuming part, and we were really scared because we had 3 more grits to go before it was time to seal or stain or do anything. And we were like, we thought that this was gonna be so quick, and it ended up taking 4 days to get through just the 36 grit in all of the rooms that we were doing in this video. So yeah, it's totally doable, you guys, and it's much more affordable than paying somebody to do it, but I'm not going to lie, it's very labor intensive and it is very time consuming. So basically took us forever to get through the master bedroom. It was also one of the rooms where the floors were probably the most uneven. Once we were done with that, it was on to bedroom number 1. This is where I had tested a bunch of stains. It was actually super satisfying to, you know, sand over those stains. And I, you know, had kind of, after we did the first room, I was like, dang, should I have rented like the belt sander or a different sander? And after doing the project, I'm glad that I didn't, because this one was definitely a lot more user friendly. Also, you definitely want to wear a mask, have the windows open, have everything taped off in your house. Our vents aren't taped off, but no air or heat was on while we were doing this because it happened to be really nice outside, so we got lucky with that. But you definitely want to take all precautions because it's very dusty. Now, in the hallway before video, you can really see all of that discoloration and all of like the little paint stains and everything, and just how orange it is. So we went down the hallway, and this is the part that we really needed the orbital sander for, because I don't know how I would have done this with like a belt sander where you have to sand with the grain. It just wouldn't have made sense. Also, it has a dust bag on the back that we had to empty fairly often, and my hallway was also super uneven, so I was like getting pulled everywhere around this hallway. Then here is the second bedroom, and you can definitely see how orange the floors are in here. Dustin did some of the sanding in here this time, and then after we finished off this room, we move on to the largest room, which is the living room. Now, you guys, let's talk about the cost. It was around $275 for us to rent this industrial sander from Home Depot for 1 week. And I actually thought that that was a really reasonable price for, you know, such a large amount of equipment. If I wanted to buy this thing, it would have been like $3,300, which we ain't doing that. But the crazy part that I wasn't expecting was the cost of the sandpaper. The sandpaper, I need to like total it up, but I'm pretty sure it was just as much as the sander rental itself, and that's definitely not something that I was expecting at all. I think total for the rooms that we're doing in this video, it cost around $700, maybe a little bit under, to like rent the sander, get all of the sandpaper and the sealer that we end up using. So overall, not too bad. Definitely a lot more affordable than if we had somebody come out and do it. But I actually kind of flew through the living room a lot more quickly than the other rooms because the floor was definitely the most worn down in here. So it definitely didn't take the sander as much time to get off that top coat or even like the layer where the color is, just because, you know, they were more worn down, which worked in my favor. And speaking of the bare wood, I'm obsessed with it, and I totally wish that we could have just kept it this color, but unfortunately, that's just not how floors work. We do end up not using any color on it and just sealing it, but it just won't stay this light. Now, I probably could have bleached them, but that's like a whole other thing, and I wasn't ready to take that on. It's day 49 of sanding. Just kidding, I think it's day 4. So, well, not really whole days, okay? Anyway, I'm gonna take you through the house and let you see what it looks like right now and let you know the update. Okay, so we're in the living room. There are like stuff near the edges. Some of it's uneven, so we have to hand sand that. The closets are pretty hard to get in, so hand sander. Again, we have everything taped off. So we'll be doing my office, the entryway, and the dining room in a separate video. Here's the hallway, my tripod. It looks so much bigger with the light floors. I'm really trying to, I think I'm gonna try to make a stain light that works, that doesn't make it look pink. Here's room number 1. Here is room number 1. So looking good. Again, there's just some parts that like the floors are uneven, so we couldn't get it. Floor number 2, these floors were a little bit more even, but as you can see in like the closets and the edges, we still need to get. And here's the master. Now what I'm gonna do off camera is I'm going to go over the floors again with 60 grit and then probably 80 grit, and then maybe we'll come back for 100. I'm not sure. I'm running out of space on my camera. I will come back for one more sanding situation, but I'm not gonna show you all of it because that would be a lot of memory cards. Okay, bye. Sorry, I'm just a hot mess, and it is what it is. I did fill in any of the larger gaps with some wood filler to make sure that it wouldn't look all like messed up. I only did this in the large gaps where the floor was like really warped. So yeah, then right now you're like, Lexi, why are you drawing on the floor with a pencil? Essentially, I would put light pencil marks on the floor between each grit so that I could see where I had sanded off. Because like I said, we're just buffing out the grit below its like little scratches. So you can't necessarily see where you've gone over. Now in this room you kind of can, just because I did have the wood filler, so you can see a difference in coloration. But in all the other rooms that I didn't show this crazy long process in, I wouldn't be able to tell. And we did 36 grit first, then we did 60 grit, then 80, and then 100. Once all of those grits were done, there was obviously a lot of dust, and I also vacuumed in between each grit too, because you don't want to just like sand dust into the floor. But I just, like, my SD card did not have enough space to show all of you guys that. So, yeah. But I vacuumed, really shouldn't have used my good vacuum, but you know, it is what it is. And then after I vacuumed, I went over with like little tack cloths to pick up any of the additional dust. You do not want any dust on the floor before you stain or seal it, because obviously that would be crusty. Also, I used a little like scratch marker that you would use on like wood furniture when it gets a scratch, to kind of go over that wood filler, because it was extremely noticeable, because it is stainable, but we ended up only using a top coat. Then I started to apply my top coat with a brush. Now, we'll get into that in a minute, but I had a panic attack. I'm a little worried, but don't worry. I was really freaking out here because when I had initially tested the patch, it didn't look this orange. And so I freaked out, tried some other stains off camera, and I was like, no, Lexi, we literally do not have time. Anyway, so what I'm using is a water-based polyurethane floor sealer from Minwax. Now, there's a lot to say about sealing floors, but let's start with why I chose specifically a water-based polyurethane. There is also oil-based products, and that is generally what most people use on floors because they say that it looks better, whatever. There's two reasons I didn't want to use an oil-based one. One, I wanted to preserve as much of the light and brightness of the floor as possible, and with them being red oak, an oil-based one would have really pulled out the red and orange a lot more. I know it looks red and orange here, but I promise it dries a lot more neutral and a lot lighter than this. The second reason is oil-based polyurethanes take up to 3 weeks to fully cure. 3 weeks. And if you try to put a rug back on a polyurethane like oil floor that's not fully cured, it will literally suck the color out of your rug and like put it into your floor, ruin your rug, ruin your floor. It's a mess. With the water-based polyurethane, you can literally walk on it after 2 hours to recoat it because it's dry, and it's fully cured within 24 to 48 hours just to be safe, and you can put everything back on it. Like, so much quicker. And personally, if I were doing this again, I would 100% only use a water-based one. Now, in the first clip you saw me doing like a little tiny section. That's not how you want to do it. You should really keep a wet edge with this. I'm using a brush because I found I was able to have the most control. There's a lot of ways to apply this, one of which I will show you here in a minute. But you want to go the full length of the floor as much as you can, just so that it's continuous and that you don't have any edge marks, because if it dries, you can see where it overlapped. Now, we're back in the master, and I'm using this like little floor foam pad with an extension arm to put it on in here. I hated this. It went so much quicker, but it picked up too much product for me, and I just felt like it was flopping around. I don't know why I didn't go the full length of the floor. I think that I was just deliriously tired at this point, so maybe that contributed to it, but I just didn't like it. I did not like it, and luckily I was able to get out some of those marks when I buff it with the 220 before I do the second layer, but like, I don't know, maybe it would work for you guys. It just wasn't my favorite. It did go a lot faster though. Now I'm hand sanding with 220 grit. This is not actually like fully sanding down the floors. We are just buffing it out because I had a lot of grain popping. And this was actually like so fast. It really didn't take me long at all. But yeah. This is just to make sure that the floors are super smooth. So sorry that some of these videos are on my phone, but again, like I said, I was running out of space on my SD card and I had filmed for TikTok, so I figured I'd put it in anyway. After that, I basically just went over with a second coat, and it is currently curing right now. So make sure that you guys come back next week as we do the last like front 3 rooms, and then you guys can see the full reveal of what the floors are looking like. You guys, they're looking so much better, a lot less orange, and I am really, really excited because I feel like it made such a huge difference in the house. But that's it for me today, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!